Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Homestead Friends that is absolutely a classic and soon to be excellent.
Yes.
I got
yes,
that backward.
Definitely. An excellent edition.
It's
and
yeah,
soon to be classic.
soon to be classic edition of the Homestead Friends, and we are here with an awesome new channel, and I absolutely love these guys to death. It's Tangi, the caver's wife. Yeah. And
Hey.
we are here with Jack and Tangi. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. We're doing good.
Yep. Excellent, excellent. So what this format is all about is just getting to know you guys, kind of getting an overview of the channel, maybe digging in a little bit into your fortes so people can jump over there, check out your channel, and hopefully like what they see and subscribe to the channel and get into you guys. So the short version, and then we'll expand. What is your channel all about?
It's all about me. No, I actually, hello. No, I actually started the channel for the specific reason that I was getting into canning and gardening and all of this other stuff, and I have loved ones that live in different states. I'm the oldest of 7, and so some of my sister-in-laws and my siblings were asking me about canning and gardening, and I'm one of those people that I can't write it down and get you to explain it. I have to show you how to do it.
Gotcha.
So that was kind of what prompted me to start the channel. I thought, well, I'll just video it and then I can show them that way. And then things started happening on my channel. Just crazy stuff.
The
like
force
me
has
talking to
awakened.
you.
Yeah.
The force has awakened. So cool. Well, now, like, you do a lot of different things. I mean, I've seen the sewing stuff. I've seen some stuff shooting your nice new pistol, which is awesome. And yes, envy right here. And all kinds of different things. Give us an overview of the spectrum of stuff we're going to see.
Okay. So gardening, homeschooling, living off the land, being out in nature.
Mm-hmm.
We like to hike and camp. I don't know what else.
Really, it's mostly all her hobbies.
Yeah.
Which her hobbies is she loves cooking and gardening and trying to do stuff that will save our family money and
like grocery shopping, making my own stuff.
And then things that we've learned trying to homeschool our kids and activities that we can do with them and places we can take them.
Cool. You know, we're pretty much exactly like that too. And what our channel does is it's just honestly whatever's going on because it's all weird homesteady stuff, whether it's bees or literally, I think my shirt is honestly covered in butter because we just made butter for the first time from our new cow, Harriet.
Oh.
So we made it tonight, and I was not prepared for the mess because we have a KitchenAid, and we didn't have the splatter guard. It's like pulling it everywhere, and so
our poor daughters are in there cleaning it up as we
so
speak.
I actually have the fat guy's crazy, nasty dream of being literally soaked in butter. So,
that would be the perfect field trip for our kids to go see that process being done.
well, you can come up any old time. Not the guy in butter, right?
Butter or
That's weird, man. So you guys are in a whole different kind of homesteading. Time out.
Wow,
Flag
wait
on
a
the
minute.
flag.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, you guys give a whole meaning to the term homestead.
Yeah.
What's that Bible of the hymn? He touched me. Oh, he touched me. No. So, okay. Refocus. Here we go. Now, Jack, you obviously have to be the caver unless there's some really weird story behind the name of this.
I'm the caver. Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I got into caving in college. I was studying parks and recreation, and I did an internship with a local cave and really fell in love with going underground and exploring and joined all kinds of caving clubs. And I'm a member of a survey team. We explore caves, we research caves, and that's just a huge passion of mine. So I just thought, she started calling herself Tangi the Caver's Wife, and because if you look around in our hallway and down in our garage and everything, there's photographs of caves all over the place.
Cool.
So it's just a big part of what we like to do.
That's awesome.
That's very cool, but now it's interesting because Tangi, you don't necessarily dig that sort of thing, do you?
Caving is not my bag. No, I enjoy being above ground very, very much.
So you're not like a hobbit. You're more like an elf.
Yeah, but that would like to be a hobbit. I have enough hair on my toes to be a hobbit.
Oh!
Oh, wow.
But yeah, no.
You just identified with a whole other specific people group.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I am right there with you, Tangi. I am not a huge fan of going underground either.
You know, when I was a kid, my mom and dad took us on this trip all around the country, and we went it was like a month-long journey, and we went all the way from like the Grand Canyon all the way up to Mount Rushmore, and we went into this one cave. And you had to be able to go on this tour, you had to be able to fit through this little box, you know, your body. You'd have to fit through this box, and then it went down an incline and up like that. And I made it when I was 12. Not happening now.
And that's what I do a lot of that stuff. And she's went with me a couple of times and quickly found out she's claustrophobic. So I'm the first to admit caving is not for everybody.
Yeah.
So tell me about your garden.
Oh, what do you want to know?
Oh, do tell.
I like talking about one of my children. Well, we've been working in the garden today. We are expanding it. Our in-ground garden, we measured it off, and it's 1,800 square feet. And we're expanding it with, we've got 2 4x10 raised beds that we just built today. And I'm also adding some container garden containers with stuff in it as well. But yeah, the goal each year is to learn more skills, add to the garden. So I'm growing things this year that I've never grown before. I've also started my own seeds this year, which I've never done before. So I was really excited about that. But yeah, it's also my hope is that I will eventually be able to preserve enough food that will last us all year, and I won't have to buy produce at all from the grocery store. And then, you know, just keep adding to that, and then maybe we can get rid of the store altogether. I don't know.
You know, that's kind of a goal of ours too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right now, our garden is woefully inadequate for our family. But now, do you guys have any idea? Have you ever like sat down with pencil and paper to figure out we're going to need X amount to get to X amount, or are you just kind of going, well, this is kind of what we did last year and we didn't have enough?
Yeah, kind of. It's trial and error for sure.
We've kind of done both.
Yeah. We let's see. This year, I know that 6 rows of corn, like what we did last year, is plenty because we have just enough corn to last us until it's time to pick again. So, you know, and I keep a garden journal and things like that just to keep up with how we're doing. I know the tomatoes that I had last year wasn't enough because we ran out of salsa, I think, 2 months ago, and I had 30 tomato plants. But we, and I want to make like other things other than salsa, which I also did pizza sauce. What else did I do? Did several tomato based things to can, but I want to do more.
You know what? You just gave me a great idea that I'm going to actually see if I can implement on my channel. Because here's the thing. There are so many good recipes out there that people use for canning, and then there's horrific crap that you're just like, I just used 5 bushels of this food on this, and it's horrible, and I don't want to eat it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it ends up going to pigs if you add them.
And like, you know, everybody has their own little pickle recipe that they just love, or you get the one out of the Betty Crocker book, and it's like, oh, ick.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Christa has just been hankering for sweet pickles.
I'm the only one in our family that likes sweet pickles. Well, I grew up in Ohio, and then we moved to Florida when I was a kid, but we've always had sweet pickles, and nobody else likes them. And I cannot find a jar of pickles that doesn't have high fructose corn syrup in it.
Yeah. And so, go ahead.
Another thing that's funny too, you know, when it comes to growing your own food and preserving your own food, you really do start to pay attention to the store-bought ingredients. And I never realized that most jars of just dill pickles or kosher pickles have food coloring in them.
Yep.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, well,
All right.
no,
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah,
that it's a
exactly.
bad idea. It's
Yeah.
just it's a funny thing because in your mind you associate pickles with being green. So
Right.
they gotta if that one's pale, that one's got to be bad over there. That's something wrong with it. But I think the idea is going to be this. I've done recipe swap videos in the past where we've actually swapped recipes and seed swaps. But what if I could figure out a way that people could actually trade off their canned goods
Canning.
with a recipe? Like I'll send you this and you send me that. And
Oh,
if you like it, you've already got the recipe and now you're off to the
Great idea.
races.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know, look at
Yeah.
this smart guy right here.
yeah.
You
Just
got some.
Big
put me on the
brains.
list. Put me
Super
on
huge
Big
brains.
brains.
So, okay, now what are some of the things that you figured out that you don't want to have in your garden again?
Rabbits.
Ah,
Oh, yeah, there you
excellent
for sure.
choice.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
the,
last year we had a problem with rabbits eating our green beans.
Mhm.
Did you have any kind of fencing around it?
Just the fence that goes around our backyard.
Oh,
gotcha.
Yeah, so we're going to do something this year to try to take care of that. We're going to have to work on that.
is it called a 22?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our dog loves chasing rabbits, but he just does
He just
doesn't do
doesn't
quite
catch
the
him.
job.
It's more for recreation than actual.
Yeah.
He's actually buds with them.
Nice.
One thing about our little homestead is we actually live in a subdivision, and we would love to live on a farm and have 5 or 10 acres, but we live at the end of a cul-de-sac. Our property is about 1.5 acres. We have a backyard that's fenced in with our dog, and that's where the garden is. So it is, we can't have a huge garden space and grow tons of vegetables and keep in the deep freeze, year round. But we've learned to try to figure out what will work for our property space.
I got you. Have you guys just by chance seen the Permaculture Homestead channel at all?
I have.
He does a ton with a very small yard. I mean, his whole thing. I don't think it would work for everybody just because we're trying to do animals too.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets so much out of a small space that it's really impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's take a turn. Let's go back to canning. Now, a lot of people get freaked out by pressure canning. Everybody will try water bath, but then they go, "Oh my gracious, it's those, it's the marathon accident." Bam,
Oh, in Boston.
Yeah. So talk about your experience as a beginning canner to where you're at now.
Okay, so the things that I'm fixing to say are not recommended by the USDA. I'm just gonna put that aside.
Check,
Okay.
check.
Okay.
The disclaimer has been
So,
checked.
My very first time canning, I bleached the whole kitchen. Floors, counters, sinks, utensils, stoves, everything.
With
Because I was
actual bleach?
terrified. Bleach, yes. I mean, obviously I diluted it, but I was so terrified of getting any kind of bacteria in the food, I didn't want to kill my family with botulism or anything like that. Now I'm trying to find as many shortcuts as possible
Yeah.
because, when you've got 10 or you've got 2 5-gallon buckets of tomatoes that you have to process that afternoon. Yeah, it's just like, okay, what can I do to save time? So thankfully I have friends and family that have been canning for years and years and years. And of course, like I said, this is not maybe what they want you to
You were not diagnosing any medical issues nor recommending any.
Okay, so I'll just say here's a tip that someone shared with me. Instead of filling up a pot and putting your jars in it and bringing it up to a boil to sterilize it, you can throw them in the oven at 250 and bake your jars, and it sterilizes it. So that saves you a pot, that saves you electricity, and it saves you a lot of time.
Yep.
Freezing your tomatoes.
Oh yeah, and I freeze my tomatoes now. If I get behind and I can't can them right away, I have learned that you can freeze them, rinse them in warm water. The peeling comes right off.
Wow, cool.
Let them thaw out, and then you can can them.
That's a cool
And
one.
it works great.
And you can do that.
We got to do
I'm gonna
that.
write that down
We gotta
now.
do
That's a
that.
good one. So you guys watching this video right now, this is what I call the that's the price of
That's
admission.
noteworthy.
That's already there. So
Yeah.
if you go over to her channel, I'm writing it down myself. Freeze the tomatoes,
Do that
blanch.
as well.
Peaches? Oh, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait till all of our peach trees produce fruit.
Yeah, we're there. We've got 24.
Is that all?
Wow.
Oh, we have-
20. Well, and we're only on an acre,
We have
but
an
our
acre.
entire front yard is fruit trees.
Nice.
The entire backyard is animals and stuff.
And, yeah, our animals in our garden. We can't expand our garden too terribly big because the leach lines that run through the middle of the it's in the middle of the yard, and
Ugh. So we're gonna start just planting stuff in the neighbors' yards and hope they don't notice.
Actually, there is kind of a movement where people do that. You
Huh?
can, just
Oh.
say, I will give you some of the produce if you let me garden in your yard.
Well, for us,
intensively stroking my beard. Because
our
have-
neighbor
have-
over on this side teaches concealed carry classes.
Nice.
So what's really cool is that he's got a backstop in his backyard, so we can go out and shoot whenever we want.
Very
That
good.
might not be the best place to put a garden between the shot and the. Yeah.
No, but I'm thinking over there.
Oh, they'd love to have less yard.
Well, I'm actually wondering if they'll let our cow graze.
They've been cutting this poor grass. The thing is, they got a new lawnmower and stuff, and it's just been going and going and going because it's gone crazy.
Yeah.
And she's that poor thing. I feel
She's
bad
still
for her.
out
She's
mowing.
out. You could probably hear her in the video. She's still going, and it's dark out.
Aw.
So, okay, well, other stuff. What else can we, look to see if we're going to go visit Tangi the Caver's wife's channel?
Well, like you said, with your channel, it's whatever I'm doing that day, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm just going to grab my camera. It's me either talking about, I got to clean the house today, or I don't know.
Doing crafts with the kids.
Yeah, I mean, I
Homeschool
just
projects.
do my thing, and then I bring people with me, and they just like to hang around, and that's pretty much it.
Well, okay, so speaking of homeschooling, you have 2 children that you homeschool currently.
Uh-huh.
Do you want any more?
Do-
We've got several that need some educating.
Oh my gosh.
We love kids, but we've got
We
our
love
limit.
our kids.
The quiver is currently full.
Okay. Now, you have not met Claire because you would absolutely adore her because she is just like you.
Is she?
I don't know how or why, but she is just like you.
I
It's so
wasn't
funny.
there. I don't know what you're there. So, homesteading.
Homeschooling.
Homesteading.
Talk about what kind of curriculum you guys use.
Well, right now, we are using, it's a complete curriculum that we're using
I
for
call it the interweb.
Wait, no. No.
yeah. But we love, when I say we, I mean me. I love the Charlotte Mason method.
Mhm.
So I try to implement that with the kids just because Charlotte Mason, really emphasized educating the whole child. So mind, body, spirit. And she really had an emphasis on teaching allowing your children to be in nature and observe nature, and that through nature we can connect with our Creator.
Yeah.
And my kids love being outside. Of course, their parents love being outside, and they also love to read. And she really felt very strongly that all children should read classic literature. So, and our children are avid readers, and they've just living life and being hands-on.
Mhm.
That's what we do a lot of. And we try, I think one thing that maybe kind of separates us from other homeschoolers is that we don't do big box curriculum because we can't afford it. It's astronomical.
Yeah.
So we do as many free things as possible. So like what Parker is using for his math and grammar, someone actually gave to me.
Cool.
My daughter's science, which she's using Abeka in science, I actually found that at the Goodwill for 50 cents.
What?
Or
Yeah. And so we do things like that to keep our costs down, because since I'm home now, we live on one consistent income. So we do everything that we can to keep everything down to the pennies.
Yeah. I get you.
So now the bigger question for me is, and this is one we struggled with on and off because we've had our kids in public school and we've had them not in public school, and it's actually gone back and forth.
Yeah.
But why? Why do you homeschool?
Well, it really started when, because our children were also in public school, and we've also done private school. And at the time when we decided to homeschool, they were in public school, and I was sitting at my desk at work, and I was listening to a sermon, and I worked for an accountant. So and it was during tax season, and I was sitting there thinking about how great God is, and I was just hit with this conviction that here I am, just soaking in the goodness of God, and then realizing that my children were being sent to an institution to be educated where God's not allowed. The whole curriculum, everything that they are taught is based on the idea that there is no God.
Yep.
And it was and it broke my heart. And so that's what drove us to homeschooling. But we have found that there are other benefits to homeschooling besides just the spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Well, now taking a turn that you guys are probably not expecting, because that's usually usually how I roll. How'd you guys meet?
Oh, I like this story. Do you want to tell it or do you want me to tell it?
Come on, Jack. Man up, dude.
I'll tell you my version.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's going on. So I was in this bar fight.
So she lived in Georgia. I lived in Kentucky. And but I grew up, the church I grew up in, just an old country church in rural Kentucky. Her grandfather was my pastor.
Booyah, winning.
So we kind of met through church. His family was all in Georgia, but I kind of grew up under him, and we were really close to the whole family. And we would go down and visit, and one day I met his granddaughter.
The end.
We just started Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So my version of it. Okay. So the first time I remember ever seeing him, I was about 14, and he was playing Chubby Bunnies. Do you know what Chubby Bunnies?
Yeah, you shove those stuff in.
Yeah. So we were at I guess you can call it a church retreat or a youth retreat. It was where churches that we fellowshipped with would just have a revival weekend at a retreat.
Yeah, like a weekend retreat.
Yeah, for the youth.
For kids.
And so it was our first time ever coming. We came up from Georgia, and there were all these people that I'd never seen before playing this game that I'd never seen before, and I remember seeing him then. But he's older than me, so I didn't really,
You're like,
No.
yeah.
Okay. But a few years later, I had some of his friends had actually moved to Georgia, and I was hanging out with them, and then he came to visit, and then the rest is history.
So he's like, hey, you want to play some Chubby Bunnies? Okay.
Take him anywhere.
All right, I'm gonna push it even just a little bit further, because you guys seem like you're really fun. How did you, Tangi, know this is the guy for me?
Should I leave the room?
She did.
You get some alone time, bro.
Well, I will say that when I was 13, I prayed for not Jackie, this guy, but someone that fit his description. I asked God that he would give me a godly husband, someone that loved him, that would want to raise our children in church. And when we started talking, it was just, I don't know, I had peace about it. To me, there was really no question. When we started dating, I just knew, and that was I was 17 when he asked me out. He was the first guy that I ever went on a date with. I turned 18 in April. We were engaged in May and married in December.
Oh,
Wow.
We've been married 17 and a half years.
Nicely done.
Excellent.
And besides, he is stinking handsome. Come on,
I'm sorry,
Come
what?
on.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right. So now just a quick return to homesteading before we kind of wrap up the evening. What about the kids? Are they into this? Or do they want to be involved with it? Or are they like, no, more give me some Halo? Or what are they like?
Our son is. He, as a matter of fact, yesterday, Jack went to his parents' house to get some manure to put on the garden. And my son came home because he went to help, and he came back, and he got his muck boots on, and he goes, "Mom, I feel country." He's like, he wants to hunt. He's already said he wants to hunt and do all that stuff. So, but our daughter she's a teenager, so she just wants to talk to her friends and, do all that stuff.
I think they both like homeschooling. When we first told them that we were going to try it, I was actually really surprised how excited they were about it.
Wow.
Because I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting them to throw a fit. We're taking them away from their friends and everything. But they embraced it, and
Good.
It made it a lot easier for us getting started that way. But yeah, like she said, we got a teenage daughter now, so you never know what.
How old is your daughter?
She's 13, going on 18.
Oh,
So
fabulous.
have you seen my son Jonathan on any of our videos?
Do what?
Have you seen my son Jonathan on any of our videos? Just saying.
I believe
Handsome young lad. Just saying. Anyway, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though that she's at that age now where boys are starting to take notice. And actually, we were at church and somebody came up to me and said, "My son was asking about your daughter."
Oh.
I was like, "It's time to load the shotgun." Yeah, that's right.
By the door.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, you guys out there watching this interview, obviously, Tangi the Caver's wife, Jack, you guys have obviously some stories to tell. You've got a lot of information to convey, and you've got a channel that's really, really interesting and entertaining.
Thank you.
And so right now what you need to do is just hit pause on the video, go over there, hit subscribe, and then you can come and tell me in the comments below whether I was right or not. So watch a few videos, and you can curse me out, blah, 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 you wasted my time. Or, no, I love Tangi. And so check them out. I think that it's definitely well worth your time. They're good people trying to get a lot of good information out there, and I think that we should always be trying to support the community.
Amen.
Amen.
Yep.
So that said, you guys have the last word.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, for the plug, for the interview. Tangi is not shy, so she loves doing what she does, and I'm just here to assist. So,
well, you are assisting like a baller, dude.
I'm gonna hold him to it.
Heck yeah. So anyway, I'm Brad.
I'm Christa.
And this is the Big Chubby Family Homestead, and Tangi and the Caver. You guys are what we gave you superhero names. It was Rock Solid and Cave Girl.
Yep.
That's
Cave
right.
Girl.
Yep.
So you guys check them out, and we will see you next time. You guys have an amazing day.
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.